Hi, this is Ed the Finance Guy coming back with another video. Thank you for tuning in. Today I have a very sensitive matter to discuss. The video has to do with a client of mine. She's my client, 23 years. I'll call her Mrs. G. Mrs. G came into my office telling me that her husband of 45 years passed away. And of course, she was grief-stricken. Knowing Mr. G as long as I did, I was very upset. And even doing this video, thinking about him makes me upset. Mrs. G came into the office telling me that her husband took care of everything. Balanced a checkbook, has all the checking account statements, has an IRA, trades in the stock market, but has no idea where any of these documents are. She doesn't know what to do. She's completely lost, and she is hysterical, crying, not knowing what to do, not knowing where her checking account is. She doesn't know where her money is. She doesn't know anything about what's going on in her financial world. She didn't even know where her husband wanted to be buried and what he wanted done at the funeral. She didn't know anything. It's a situation that should just never happen to anyone. You should never leave your spouse without any knowledge of where your finances are. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. But what you would do is, if you have a lawyer, you would draw up a will. You would have a durable power of attorney. So this way, in case you get sick, you know who's going to handle all your affairs. And a living will is what you would need. It's a medical power of attorney in case you're on life support. Now, again, these are topics that people don't like to talk about. So very often spouses don't even sit together and they don't even talk about what they have, where their life insurance policy is, where their will is, where they just go about their life thinking, you know, listen, we're never going to die, so we don't have to talk about it. It's a mistake. You should always talk about it. Now, what I tell people, my clients, to do is to have a book. It could be a book just like this. And in that book, you should write certain things. Now, again, this is not a full list of things. It's just items that I thought about, that I did a little bit of research, but I have a lot of clients that are doing this exact thing. In this book, you're going to keep the name and telephone number of all your doctors, dentists, lawyers, accountants, your financial advisor. If your spouse dies, you want to make sure they can call your accountant, they can call the lawyer, they can call the financial advisor and say, hey, what's going on? I don't even know what we have here. Computer passwords. Now, if you have a computer and you have an email, you should leave your password in the book. People are very concerned about writing things in a book because what if someone steals the book? They have all this information. You could put it on a computer drive that's password protected. You can keep it in the safe deposit box. Try to keep a spare key someplace that you can even write it in the book or keep it in the book. If you don't want to put it in the safe deposit box, make sure there's a spare key. So this way your spouse doesn't have to dig around for an extra key. And it's always good that the spouse is on the box, otherwise they won't be able to get in if they're not in the box. If you saw what Mrs. G's reaction was to not knowing what's going on in her life, you would change the way you're doing things and you would sit down with your spouse and say, hey, you got to show me what's going on. You got to show me how to balance a checkbook. How do I write checks? Who do I have to pay? You also need investment accounts, the names of the company, the addresses, the phone numbers, what 401ks do you have, what IRAs you have. Do you have a Roth IRA? Where is it sitting? What bank is it with? What's the account number? You need to have this information. You need to know the employer information. The husband passes away. Where is he working? He's working for ABC company. I need to know the name and address of where he works. I need to know the phone number of the HR department. I need to be able to call him to see if there's a life insurance policy involved. You need to have this information. Maybe even the name of your spouse's direct boss that you can call. Mortgage documents. Try to keep a copy of the mortgage statement in that file, so this way you know the account number, you know what bank it's with. There's a web address for the bank. If there's passwords and your husband and wife use those passwords, that's got to be in the book as well. You need to have all the insurance information. Where's my life insurance? AAA gives life insurance. Do I have their account number? American Express will give life insurance. Do I have their number? Car insurance information, where I can call and say, look, I have to take my husband off the policy, he passed away, or at least I know where my policy is. What is my policy? What am I covered for? You have to know all of these things. This all has to be written and it has to be kept track of, and you have to know. The spouse has to know what's going on. Credit card information. Now, my suggestion is take all your credit cards, photocopy them front and back. This way you have the account number, you know the expiration date, and the back of the card shows the customer assistance number. So you're able to call them up and stop my husband's cards. He passed away. I need to do that right away. So you'll have the number, you have all the information. That's something that's very important. If there's any loan information that you have, car loans, personal loans, now SBA loans. If your husband took out an SBA loan for his business because of what happened with the virus, I need to know about that SBA loan because I'm going to be handling it going forward. The idea behind this is you want to make sure your spouse knows everything that's going on. If they don't know something, let it be written in the book. Sometimes spouses don't want to know everything. They want the husband or the wife to take care of all the matters, and they bring in the paycheck, and they don't care what's going on. They trust their spouse. But that's the wrong way to look at it. You have to know exactly what's going on, not because you don't trust each other, but just in case something happens. It's also good to keep a list of monthly bills. So what I do is I have a list of companies I have to pay, people I have to pay. I have it on a sheet of paper every month. I check off that I paid my credit card bill to Visa. I check off I paid my rent. I check off. So at the end of the month, I see what bills are left over. So if you're not used to paying the bills, you should have that list. That list should be very, very clear and know exactly what you have to pay. Also, burial information. You got to have the cemetery address. You have to know the name and the telephone number of the priest, the rabbi, so this way you can call them if anything happens. It's very, very important to have these documents ready. It's very helpful. And when, God forbid, your spouse passes away, at least you have everything in one book, in one area. You know exactly what you should do. I want to thank Mrs. G for allowing me to repeat the story. And she also said she doesn't want this to happen to anybody else. It was a very, very emotional thing for her that she had a husband for all these years. She never paid attention to any of these things. She's trusted her husband. Husband's taking care of everything. Husband dies. Now, she didn't know. She had no idea what to do. I went to her house. I was there 3 hours, going through her documents, going through her paperwork, going through her drawers, looking for everything, looking for anything that would give me an idea of what he had. And thank God I have his tax returns, so I was able to look at the back of the return, at the interest and income section, the dividend section, and I knew that he had an account at Merrill Lynch. I knew an account. So we were able to backtrack everything. We were able to call Merrill Lynch with his Social Security number, and we got through to everything. But it really is an important thing to have, to make sure your spouse knows what's going on, to have a book, have some kind of record, spreadsheet, anything that lists everything that you have, and everything should be done in case I pass away. Even though it's tough to talk about, it has to be done. It's very, very important. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. I really do enjoy doing these educational seminars. If you have any ideas for other topics, please email me at ed1959@usa.com. That's ed1959@usa.com. If you have any questions, any personal questions you want me to answer, I will answer them free of charge. If you need any help with tax returns, loan modification, any kind of questions, just contact me. I will definitely try to help. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. This way you know when the next video is coming out. I do appreciate everyone tuning in and supporting my channel. Thanks again. This is Ed, the Finance Guy. Talk to you soon.